All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Houston Rockets Daily. It's Friday, April 28th, 1:33 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And about an hour ago, we had a reporter by the name of Jake Fisher report that the Rockets have had talks to possibly trade away Mr. Jalen Green. And we're going to discuss that in today's video or live stream on Let's Talk Rockets episode number 13, because there's no way, shape, or form that happens. And we have some opinions on it. So without further ado, where is the countdown? All right, guys, we'll pull up a tweet here. I'm sure if you're a Rockets fan and you've been on social media today, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So here we have a tweet from Bleacher Report, and we're going to go through a compilation of tweets. If you're watching this or listening to this on Spotify, which, by the way, Let's Talk Rockets is available on streaming platforms. The link is in the bio, or type in Let's Talk Rockets on it. We're going through a tweet, and the tweet says, the Rockets have addressed the idea of trading Jalen Green per Jake L. Fisker. Potential targets for Houston include James Harden and Chris Middleton, who are both free agents. They both have player options, and to be honest with you, they're both going to accept their player options. So I'm not the biggest Jake Fisher fan, and if you are a Toronto Raptor fan, you would fully support this statement. So the last outrageous thing Jake Fisher has come up with this past season was that OG Anunoby was not happy with his role on the Toronto Raptors, and nobody on the Toronto Raptors was happy with that role. Scotty Barnes went on a live stream on, I believe it was Twitch, to pretty much clown this dude. And, we got Daquan here. I hope not. We got Captain Che. If they trade Jalen and we don't get a superstar, my faith in this team is done. Yeah, so I wanted to hop on here and just kind of prevent any possible comments like Che here, because, this is just bad reporting. This is just really bad journalism. And, it's kind of the big issue here is you have these reporters, you have these journalists, this guy, Jake, works for Yahoo Sports, and they come out here and they either do one of two things. They straight up lie, or you hear a report from a source of a team, and the source of a team is probably like, a friend of a friend of a friend of somebody within the organization. So it's just watered down. It's like that game, what is it, Telephone, where you say something in somebody's ear, and even like two people later it's completely not even close to what the original statement was. But there's no repercussions for making comments like this, which is the worst part. We saw as Rocket fans, that's another annoying part of being a Rocket fan, is anything in the Rockets news is usually negative. And in the last case that we saw was Brian Windhorst, where Brian Windhorst seriously lied about Steven Silas. And Steven Silas had to, he called the dude and was like, this didn't happen. Like, this is not true. This did not happen. What happens with Wendy? No worries. Hop on the radio the next day, hop on ESPN the next day, and just wait one day and nobody will remember it. But us Rocket fans, we remember it. Good afternoon to Angry Silas. This is the dumbest thing the Rockets can do if it's true. Green just turned 21 and had horrible coaching. Let Ime coach him up and teach him the right way to play. It makes no sense. So here's the most likely scenario that is playing in my mind. A team calls the Houston Rockets or inquires the Houston Rockets, whether it is right now in free agent or in our offseason. NBA offseason hasn't officially began, or around the trade deadline, or last offseason. I wouldn't be surprised if this was like last offseason, a team asked Houston for a trade. Like, are you guys open to trading Jalen Green? The Rockets were like, no, unless you give us like a guy like Luka Doncic, or a guy like Giannis Antetokounmpo, or a guy like Shea. Like, there's probably 3 to 5 players that you would actually trade Jalen Green for. Neither of them are named Chris or James. So it's just there's no way that this is true. I'm going to hope for the integrity of journalists not sold on Jake Fisher, never have, never will, especially when it comes to Raptors or Lakers rumors, and now evidently the Rockets. I'm going to hope that it was the situation I just mentioned, where it was like somebody gives a call to Rafael Stone, is like, would you trade Jalen Green? And they're like, if you're giving us a top 5 player in the NBA, maybe we could have a discussion then. And you just kind of run with it. You run with the report, you run with the BS, and that's what we have here. There's seriously no validity to this. This is from James Piercy. I think he writes for the Dream Shake. But yeah, this is my personal Twitter here, and I saw this tweet on my timeline. And I was like, yeah, it's pretty much. There's like 3 to 4 players I'd trade Brown for. He lists Anthony Edwards, John Morant. Actually, no, somebody else did. Oh, here's Giannis, Tatum, and Shea. Like, there's like a couple of players. I would throw Anthony Edwards in there. I'd throw Luka in there. It's like there's like 5 players, but yeah. Per Jake Fisher, the Rockets addressed the idea of including second-year guard Jalen Green, the number 2 pick in the 2021 NBA draft, as part of a package for acquiring established star talent. Now, I love James Harden. I love Chris Middleton. And, the idea of having them on the Rockets is somewhat intriguing. Definitely not for Jalen Green. And, even my take with James Harden is, if I'm getting James Harden, I don't want James Harden on his current contract. So he has a player option. If shit really hits the fan with Philadelphia and he declines it and he enters free agency, which he's not, especially with his current playoff performance, if I'm bringing James Harden back, it's going to be on an extremely less lucrative deal than the one he's on right now, where he's getting paid an arm and a leg. Like, I don't want to bring James Harden in at this age with his playoff lack of ability and talent in the playoffs, and his injury concerns, with any like number that starts with a 3 and ends with how many digits are in a million? Like 7. There's not going to be, or 8, because it's double. So it'd be 6 zeros. Anyways, this isn't a math show. If we get Rob Williams, if we don't get the number 1 pick, get Miller in the draft, signed Harden. So just to talk on both of these 2 players here, they're both on player options. So for the reasons I just mentioned, James Harden is going to be a Sixer next year. James Harden could request a trade next season, and a team, say Houston is like, yeah, let's get him because we have cap space, and then we're going to sign him to a less long-term deal in the offseason and restructure, give him a deal, like I said, that isn't $30 or $40 million. But the way he's playing in the playoffs right now, with his injury concerns and his, especially the past couple of seasons, his age, you just throw all those indicators out there. James Harden will be a Philadelphia 76er to start off the season, unless he demands a trade or they get swept by Boston in this upcoming week. But he's not going to decline his player option. He's not going to turn down $40 million. The same thing to me applies with Chris Middleton. Now, Chris Middleton had, not gotten injured and played the whole season and was consistent and was like the Chris Middleton, then I think Chris Middleton, maybe he's younger than James Harden. Maybe he'd decline it and, try and get, more money, go to a different team, longer contract, whatever it is. So Chris Middleton, to me, is more likely to decline a player option. But like I said, with his injury last year, and the inconsistency all season, or all second half of the season, and the inconsistency in the playoffs, I don't think Chris Middleton will turn down the player option. Now, maybe both those 2 teams decide to trade James Harden and Chris Middleton, whatever. It's neither here nor there. Jalen Green won't be involved in that trade. Now, even with Jaylen Brown, I like Jaylen Brown. I do think Jaylen Brown most likely will be an Atlanta Hawk. The Rockets still aren't going to give up Jalen Green for him. I really have a hard time believing that they would do that. And we'll just get a fact check here. Jaylen Brown, 4-year, $106 million contract. He's about to get paid an arm and a leg, but he's under contract. What does he have? Does he have one more year left? Yeah, it's 2023 right now. So Jaylen Brown has one more year left on his contract. So I think all the rumors are like a team like Atlanta or even Houston, if you can get the verbal agreement to, because of Ime is why he's getting linked to the Rockets right now, and he's just, a star. It'd be like, okay, we're going to trade for him, and then he's going to, sign a long-term contract with us. That's probably what Atlanta's thinking right now. So I don't think Jaylen Brown will be a Houston Rocket. Yeah. It's restricted free agent. I don't see that anywhere, but I'm trying to get a fact check on it. Set to be a free agent in the summer of 24. So I don't think there's a restriction on it. However, either way, it doesn't really matter. Personally, I wouldn't trade Jaylen Brown and have Jalen Green be in that trade package. So, I mean, that's just me. I think the more realistic options for Houston in free agency are your Cam Johnsons. I think Cam Johnson has a pretty good chance at coming on over to Houston next year. You could get him on a reasonable contract. I think he wants $90 million. I don't think he's going to get $90 million because we only saw a small sample size of him, truly beginning to break out. He had a good playoffs. We could end of the season with Brooklyn when he got traded there. But I think we're looking at like somewhere in the $80 to $85 million range for 4 years, which is something I would chalk up. I would take that gamble on Cam Johnson. There's teams out there because he's 27 years old. He's only been in the league for 4 years, off his rookie contract right now. So there are teams out there that believe, just like Mikal Bridges, just minus the age because Cam Johnson entered the NBA at 23, that he has yet to unlock his star potential. So a team like Houston, Rafael Stone could definitely be looking at Cam Johnson and be like, I think we can unlock him. And even if we don't unlock him, we have a good two-way player who's over 40% from downtown. He's extremely efficient. He's going to get you some rebounds. He's going to play defense. He's going to score you 15 points. And for the Houston Rockets standpoint, for our side, just like DeQuan says right here, it makes way more sense in the world to do that. Like to get a guy like Cam Johnson over Chris Middleton. I want to get older, but I don't want to get, Chris Middleton's injury definitely changes everything. How old exactly is Chris Middleton? I guess 30 years old. He's 31, even worse. Turns 32 in August. Like 4-year deal for Chris Middleton on Houston. I'm all set with that. Now, if we had James Harden and Victor Wembanyama, and we just, made the play-in team, and we're looking for somebody who's going to get us past the play-in and into championship caliber conversations, and he didn't get injured, as Frankie points out, like, all right, we can have that conversation, but none of that is true. So, yeah, that's really it. So probably could have made this in video form, but I hope you guys enjoyed it. Be sure to hit that like button, hit that sub button. And once again, I mentioned this in yesterday's live stream where we talked about Ime Udoka. We're going to be kicking up the Rockets content, obviously, with videos, but especially the live streams as I try and get Let's Talk Rockets, which is what you're watching right now, more of it's like an internet show, just like the NBA show that I do, but it's available on streaming platforms. If you're eating lunch, eating dinner, driving home from work, whatever it is, you can listen to it. Because I know, like, unless you have YouTube Premium, which is a great investment, but I might add, you have to be on the screen. So just convenience factor. But we're taking this channel, we're taking this show to the next level. So I appreciate all you guys tuning in today. Once again, the link's in the bio. My Twitter for Let's Talk Rockets on the bottom left of the screen is in the bio, along with the link to Spotify to listen to this. Still working on Apple because it's being a pain in the ass. So that's it for me. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Live viewers, post-live viewers, and I hope you guys have a great weekend.